Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today getting towards the end of the week and the end of talking about John chapter 4, the encounter of Jesus with the Samaritan woman at the well. Now, when I ended yesterday, Jesus had offered this river of living water, and I suspect that the Samaritan woman, she just is having a hard time figuring things out. Which, she's not alone. You and I have the same problems from time to time. But here he now says, I don't want the water from the well. I want to share with you something else. So let's pick it up. Let's pick it up in verse 15. The woman replies to Jesus' comments about water that you'll never be thirsty again. And she says, please, sir, give me this water. Then I'll never be thirsty again, and I won't have to come here to get water. It sounds like the woman is beginning to understand, but then the last part of her statement indicates probably she doesn't. She says, give me this water. Well, okay, so Jesus is offering something other than physical water, and she wants it. But then she says, and I'll never have to come here again to get water. So is she really responding to this offer of supernatural relationship? Or is she responding to the notion that she won't have to make this physical trek anymore? It's a good question. Or sometimes that applies in our lives. Do we respond to Jesus because we're interested in this supernatural walk with the living God, or are we just hoping to make our life a little simpler? Well, you can answer that question. I can't do it for you. But it goes on. And so Jesus says, okay, go and get your husband. And she says, I don't have a husband. Now, here's the really interesting part. Jesus says, you're right. You don't have a husband because you've had 5 husbands. And you aren't even married to the man you're living with now. Certainly, you spoke the truth that you didn't have a husband. And the woman says, sir, you must be a prophet. Well, let's take a look at this conversation a little deeper. It starts out, Jesus asks for a drink of water. It moves over into a notion of living water for all time. The Samaritan woman gets excited about that, so she says, I'll never have to be thirsty. But I'm not sure what thirsty she's talking about. It sounds like she's thinking physical thirst. And so she'll never have to be bothered with going to the well, maybe run into people getting ridiculed and whatnot, because she's living with a man she's not even married to. Now, in Jesus's day, that was a pretty bad thing. In our culture today, it's become more and more accepted. And I don't know the statistics, but it's just simply not unusual. And so Jesus says, okay, look, you want to participate in this thing? Great. Go get your husband. And she said, I don't have one. And Jesus says, right, you don't. In my encounters with the living God, I hate it when something like this happens. When I'll say something to the Lord and he'll say something like this, you're right. You don't know what you're doing. And it just sort of cuts you at the knees, as they say. You know, daggone it. I wasn't expecting that. And Jesus says, you got 5 husbands, or you've had 5. Now, we don't know whether she left them or they died or whatever. Certainly it sounds a little unusual. Now, it wouldn't have been unusual for a man to have 5 wives, but women don't have extra husbands in the culture of this day. And when he reveals this knowledge, she's shocked. And she said, "Sir, you must be a prophet." Now, what's interesting here is Jesus has offered this woman living water, a relationship with the Almighty. And he knows her situation. He knows what her lifestyle is like. She doesn't know that he knows that, but he does. And he offers it to her anyway. So she says, "You got to be a prophet. Nobody could know these things unless you're from God." We don't know exactly what happened here. I've got one more time to talk about it, so I don't want to reveal all of that. But what I want to focus on in the next couple minutes is the fact that Jesus knew who she was. He knew her faults. He knew her strengths. He knew her life. And he offered rivers of living water anyway. You see, God knows who we are. Now, we might hide it from others, family, friends, children, colleagues, but God knows who we are. And even though we are much less than perfect, some of us more so than others, he still offers us the opportunity to drink from the well from where we'll never be thirsty again. This walk with God that Jesus is offering to this lady at the well and to you and to me is so profound. It can overcome whatever your past is. Now, maybe you can't overcome your past. Maybe you won't forgive yourself for your past, but God will. I want to say it doesn't matter to him, but I don't mean that he never cared. It just means that giving people a chance to change their lives is so important. It trumps everything else that came before. And that's true for you, and that's true for me, and it's true for the most ungodly person I've ever met. That's what the river of living waters is really all about. Well, you think about it today. As I said, I'll be back one more time and finish this encounter. I hope I hope you've had a good week. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks so much for listening. God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow.